Okay, good morning, all of you. So today we will start that the first topic in that electronics engineering, and which is related to semiconductor diode. I think you have already studied that 80 to 90% syllabus of this topic in either in 11th standards or in 12th standards, or right now in that engineering physics also you may have to learn these things. Okay, so see that the syllabus of this topic, semiconductor diode, actually there are total three subunits are there. If you try to read it, then you will get the thing here. The first subunit is a semiconductor and PN junction diode. In that, doping, depletion layer, barrier potential, construction, working, biasing, VI characteristics, and the ratings. These are the concepts. These are the points. In the second subunit, diode application. It means that in the first part we have to learn that the PN junction diode, and in the second part we are going to discuss that its application, means diode application. So in that application, the circuit diagram and the working of half wave rectifier, then full wave rectifier, then bridge rectifier, capacitor filter using full wave rectifier, circuit diagram, working, and formula of ripple factor. These points we are going to discuss in the diode application. And the third part is related to the special purpose diode, in which photodiode, LED application of a LED as a 7-segment display, Zener diode, working, principle, VI characteristic, rating, application of Zener diode as a voltage regulator. So this is the syllabus of the semiconductor diode. So we try to start the first part, which is related to semiconductor and the PN junction diode. And in this semiconductor diode, so actually these are the three sub points. In the first point, we are going to discuss that the formation of a PN junction diode, how the PN junction diode is formed, what is the process, how it actually works, how it actually work in two different techniques. That things we are going to discuss in the first point. In the second point, in the application, we are going to discuss that half wave rectifier, full wave rectifier, bridge rectifier, capacitor filter, everything. And in a special purpose diode, the two things we are going to discuss, three things we are going to discuss. One is a photodiode, second is a light emitting diode, and third one is a Zener diode. These three special purpose diodes we are going to discuss. Okay. Now, before going to start that the semiconductor point, let me clear that the thing here. As you know that any material can be classified electrically in these three types. One is a conductor. It means that the conductor material can flow the current through it very easily. So we say that the resistance of a conductor is very less, so that the current can easily flow through the conductor material. Second type is a insulator. We know that the no current will flow through that insulator, just like a plastic, rubber, wood, etc. are that example of an insulator. So no current will flow through the plastic. It means that the insulator offers, or it gives, infinite resistance to the current through it, so that no current will flow through it. And now we will give the more focus on the semiconductor material, because we know that semiconductor shows the property of a conductor as well as insulator. That's why we say that the semiconductor lies in between conductor and that insulator. It means that resistance of a semiconductor is greater than conductor and the less than insulator. And that another one point, we know that the conductor materials having the large number of free electrons, so that the current can flow through it. Insulator materials are having the no free electrons, so that no current will flow through that insulator. And the semiconductor material consists of a medium number of free electrons, so that it shows the property of a conductor as well as that insulator. And I think you may be aware about it. There are number of semiconductor materials are available, but out of these semiconductor material, only two semiconductor materials are widely used in that electronics field. One is silicon and another one is germanium. So these two semiconductor materials are widely used. So if you remember that, how you can classify this semiconductor material depends upon the number of valence electrons. Depends upon the number of valence electrons. Now, what is meant by that valence electrons? How you define that valence electrons? The electrons which are present in the outermost shell in that atomic structure, these electrons we call it a valence electron. Suppose the valence electrons are greater than 4 पेक्षा जास्त असतील, then this material is considered as a conductor. If the valence electrons are less than 4, then this material is considered as an insulator. And if valence electrons are equal to 4, then this material is considered as a semiconductor here. So do you know that what is the atomic number of silicon? It becomes 14. So how that electrons will be rotating around that silicon atom in a different orbit? In the first orbit, the 2 electrons can rotate. In the second orbit, maximum 8 electrons can rotate. So this 2 plus 10, 2 plus 8, 10, it's over. So in the last orbit of the silicon, the 4 valence electrons are present. If you see that the germanium having its atomic number is a 32. Now you can see that the different orbit and its electrons, then you can say that it's a 2 into 8 into 18, and in the last orbit, the 4 valence electrons are present. That's why we say that when the valence electrons, when it is equal to 4, then this material is considered as a semiconductor material. So from this slide, you just try to remember that whenever I say that the semiconductor material, so definitely its valence electrons are 4, and out of many semiconductor materials, silicon and the germanium, these two semiconductor materials are most widely used in that electronics field, so that we will always consider these two semiconductor materials are there. And now we will give that the more focus on this semiconductor material here. Get it my point? So what are the basic properties of the semiconductor material? The material, it consists of 4 valence electrons. It lies in between conductor and insulator. Resistance of a semiconductor is less than greater than the conductor, and that less than the insulator is there. Is it right? And these are the two semiconductors, silicon and germanium. Please try to remember the atomic number of silicon is a 14. It may ask for MCQ type of a question, and atomic number of germanium is a 32. So most of the times this atomic number, on this atomic number, that MCQ question, it may comes in the university exam is there. Okay, let's proceed further. So the semiconductor actually having its two types. One is an intrinsic semiconductor and another one is a extrinsic. Now what is mean by that intrinsic semiconductor? Intrinsic, it stands for pure semiconductor, means when the semiconductor is in its purest form, means no impurity is present in that semiconductor. When the semiconductor is in its purest form, then this semiconductor we call it a intrinsic semiconductor. Now you can see that atomic structure of a pure germanium semiconductor material, intrinsic semiconductor. As we know that the germanium is a semiconductor, so every germanium atom has its 4 valence electrons, and in this atomic structure, in this crystal structure, every germanium atom will create the covalent bond with the 4 neighbor germanium atom, and in this way, by creating the 4 covalent bond with the 4 germanium atom, the germanium atom is stable. It will create its octal. So in this way, the covalent bonds are created in between the germanium atoms are there. So this is the crystalline structure for the germanium. Is it right? Now, as we know that when the heat is produced or when the heat is supplied to that pure semiconductor material, and for the room temperature also, for the room temperatures also, the few covalent bonds in the pure semiconductor materials are tried to break. Now, when at a room temperature, when the pure germanium atom, when they will get the some heat energy, the covalent bonds are tried to break. And when the covalent bonds are break, then the electrons will jump from valence band to the conduction band by the in this pure germanium atom is there. And once the electrons will jump from valence band to the conduction band, and once that electrons is in a conduction band, it becomes acts as a free electron. And we know that the current will flow in a material due to the movement of a free electrons only. It means that these free electrons will conduct the current only. So that, as we say that in a pure semiconductor material, actually all covalent bonds are present, but due to the room heat or room temperature, some covalent bonds are break and very few free electrons. Now this is acts as a free electrons. The few free electrons are produced, and when that electrons will jump from valence band to the conduction band, in the valence band the hole is produced, and that electrons will be in a conduction band. It acts as a free electron. So very few free electrons will be generated at room temperature, so that semiconductor material shows a little current conduction capacity. A current conduction capacity of a pure semiconductor material is very less. Why it is very less? Because the number of free electrons, कारण तेच free electrons जे current flow करता है, so this number of free electrons are very less in number. That's why we say that the pure semiconductor material shows a little current conduction capacity, or you can say that small current conduction capacity is there. So you can see this thing. So you can see that when the heat energy is available, means the room temperature, due to this room temperature also, that electrons in the germanium atom in the valence band will jump into the conduction band, and when they jump into that conduction band, they becomes the free electrons. Is it right? So these are the valence electrons. These are nothing but covalent bond. This is nothing but broken covalent bond due to the heat energy, and these are nothing but the free electrons. Okay. And when that electrons will move from valence band to the conduction band, so we say that the holes are created in that the valence band is there. Okay, so now try to read it. Intrinsic semiconductor is a pure semiconductor. The energy gap for silicon is a 1.1 electron volt, and for germanium is a 0.74 electron volt. This question, it may, these values may ask for MCQ type of question. So you please remember these things. Okay. As you know that the atomic number of silicon is a 14, atomic number of germanium is a 32. In an intrinsic semiconductor, the number of thermally generated electrons always equal to the number of holes. Okay. And now, as you know that a pure semiconductor material consists of very less number of free electrons, so that pure semiconductor material shows a little current conduction capacity or small current conduction capacity. And it is the one of the property of a pure semiconductor material when the impurity, sufficient impurity, when it will be added in the pure semiconductor material, its current conduction capacity is increased. म्हणजे जर आपल्याला प्युअर सेमीकंडक्टर मटेरियलची करंट कंडक्शन कॅपॅसिटी, करंटची कॅपॅसिटी जर इन्क्रीज करायची असेल, so we need to add the impurity in a pure semiconductor material, and adding the impurity in the semiconductor material is called as a doping. So doping is the process. Doping is the process with which we can add the impurity in a semiconductor material. Now you can read it. The doping is the process of addition of every small amount of impurity in an intrinsic semiconductor. That's why I say that the doping is a process of adding impurity. And when we add the impurity, kashat add karto impurity? In a pure semiconductor, in an intrinsic semiconductor. When we add that impurity in a semiconductor, then this semiconductor is known as extrinsic semiconductor. कशाला म्हणणार होतो आपण extrinsic semiconductor? By adding that impurity, in the presence of a impurity, we call it a extrinsic semiconductor. And in pure form, we call it a intrinsic semiconductor. Okay, so now try to read it. The impurity atoms are called as a dopants. म्हणजे जी impurity आपण pure semiconductor मध्ये add करणार आहोत त्याला काय म्हणणार आहोत आपण? It's a dopant. And these words may ask for MCQ type of question. Okay. Now, which types of impurity we can add in a semiconductor? As you know that the semiconductor having its 4 valence electron. So either you can add the pentavalent impurity, means 5 valence electron impurity, or trivalent impurity, means 3 valence electrons impurity in a pure semiconductor material. And it depends upon which types of impurity is added. Either you can add pentavalent or you can add trivalent, and based on it, extrinsic semiconductor can be classified into 2 types. One is a N-type semiconductor and another one is a P-type semiconductor is there. So the semiconductor containing impurity, म्हणजे ज्यावेळेस आपण impurity add करेल, so that is called as an impure or extrinsic semiconductor is there. Now, method of doping. What are the different methods? I think you might be learned in that 11, 12 or in that physics is there. So there are total approximate the 3 methods are there. One is the heating of a crystal in presence of dopant atom. Another is adding that impurity atom in the molten state of a semiconductor. And third one is bombarding semiconductor by ions of impurity atoms. So forget about it, but you just remember that what is meant by the doping? The doping is the process of addition of impurity in a pure semiconductor material. And the atom which can be added in a pure semiconductor, we call it an impurity atom and it is known as a dopant. And when that impurity is added in a pure semiconductor, it is known as an extrinsic semiconductor. Get it, my point? So let's try to discuss about extrinsic semiconductor. Extrinsic semiconductor means impure semiconductor. When we add the impurity in a pure semiconductor, we call it an extrinsic semiconductor. And as you know that either you can add pentavalent impurity or you can add trivalent impurity. So when you add the pentavalent impurity, then these types of extrinsic semiconductor is known as a N-type semiconductor. Means when we add the 5 valence electron impurity, that is called as a N-type. And when you add the trivalent impurity, that is called as a P-type. Now, why that N-type and P-type name it is decided? Let's try to discuss about it. It's a N-type semiconductor. Now, when the pentavalent impurity added in a pure semiconductor, then this types of semiconductor is called as a N-type semiconductor. Now, why N-type semiconductor is called? So for that, I just consider that the pure semiconductor first. Now, these are the pure germanium semiconductor atoms. And when I say that it's a pure germanium semiconductor atoms, definitely it has its 4 valence electron. But if we add the pentavalent impurities such as arsenic, now arsenic has its 5 valence electron. Out of 5 valence electron, the 4 valence electron of an arsenic atom creates the 4 covalent bond with the 4 germanium atom, but the 5th valence electron of an arsenic atom having a no space in the covalent bond, so that the 5th valence electrons of arsenic atom, it is loosely attached to their atoms, so that with a very small energy, these 5th valence electrons will move from valence band to the conduction band, and it is acts like a free electrons. It means that one arsenic atom, one pentavalent arsenic atom will give the one electron at a room temperature in the crystalline structure. Now you can imagine if very small, because atom is a very minute thing. If we say that when the small amount of pentavalent impurity when we add, then the large number of free electrons are available in that crystalline structure. And if the large number of free electrons are available in this crystalline structure, so definitely it's a current conduction capacity, it may increase. Get it my point? It means that due to addition of a pentavalent impurity, the large number of free electrons are available in the semiconductor or in the crystal structure. That's why its a current conduction capacity is increases. Is it that clear? Now you can see that here. As you know that the pentavalent impurity will provide a one valence electron, and also due to the room temperature, by breaking the some covalent bond, the free electrons are generated. It means that at a room temperature, due to addition of a pentavalent impurity, the large number of free electrons will be created, so that its current conduction capacity is increased. Now you can read it. When the semiconductor such as silicon and the germanium is doped with a pentavalent impurity such as phosphorus, arsenic, etc., the N-type semiconductor is formed. When germanium is doped with arsenic, the 4 valence electrons of arsenic forms covalent bond with the 4 germanium atom, and the 5th electron of arsenic atom is loosely bonded. The energy required to detach the 5th loosely bonded electron is very small for the germanium and the silicon. So small amount of energy provided is sufficient to detach this electron, and it is ready to conduct the current. It means that it becomes, these electrons will move from valence band to the conduction band, and it acts like a free electron. The force of attraction between this mobile electron and positively charged impurity ion is very loose, is very weak, so that the pentavalent impurity is called as a donor. This word it may ask for MCQ type of question. Why it is called as a donor? Because while adding the pentavalent impurity, one free electron is available, or the pentavalent impurity donate the electron. That's why this type of impurity or these types of a semiconductor is called as a N type of a semiconductor. N type semiconductor common like, because it donates the electron, it donates the free electrons, so that it is known as a N type of a semiconductor. Get it my point? So the question is, as we know that when the pentavalent impurity is added, the large number of free electrons are generated, then what is the charge of a N type of a semiconductor? Because the charge is not depends, or it is not related to the number of free electrons are there, it is depends upon the atomic number, or that atomic number and the number of free electrons, so that the charge of a N type of a semiconductor is electrically neutral. Please remember these things. Most of the times this sentence may also ask for MCQ type of a question. And as this pentavalent impurity will donate the free electron, that's why we call it a N type semiconductor. And here I say that it is also called as a donor type of a semiconductor here. Is it that clear? And now I say that the charge of N type semiconductor is electrically neutral is there. So this is the theory about the N type of a semiconductor. Now what you can remember? So you can remember that when the pentavalent impurity, when it add in a pure semiconductor, then the number of free electrons will be generated, and this semiconductor is known as a N type semiconductor, and this N type semiconductor is also known as a donor type of a semiconductor, and that impurity added in the n-type semiconductor is called as a donor impurity. So this is the conclusion of this n-type semiconductor, and these two slides are there. Okay. Now, if you see the carrier concentration in the n-type semiconductor, as you know that in the n-type semiconductor, the large number of free electrons are generated, and due to the thermal energy or the heat energy or the room temperature, the few covalent bonds are break. It means that the number of free electrons in the n-type semiconductors are very large in number, so that the free electrons for n-type semiconductors are called as a majority charge carriers, and the holes are very small in number. That's why the holes for n-type semiconductor are called as a minority charge carriers. So these are also the very important sentence. It may ask for MCQ type of question. In n-type semiconductor, ... are the majority charge carriers. So your answer should be the free electrons, and ... are the minority charge carriers. So your answer should be the holes. Okay. So here I have already explained that the charge of n-type semiconductor is a electrical neutral. Now see that the second type of extrinsic semiconductor, we say that it's a p-type of semiconductor. Now why that p-type name it is given? If you consider that the pure semiconductor, once again we consider that the germanium atom of a pure semiconductor, there are four valence electrons of every germanium atom. And now when trivalent impurity, trivalent means what? 3 valence electrons in impurity. Now here the indium atom, it's shown that indium is a trivalent atom having a 3 valence electron. When the trivalent impurity is added in the pure semiconductor, the 3 valence electrons of indium atom will create the 3 covalent bond with the 3 germanium atom. But indium atom has not a 4th valence electron to create the 4th covalent bond complete. So that the 4th covalent bond is incomplete. So the missing of electrons in the 4th covalent bond, we call it a hole. We call it a hole is there. It means that one indium atom will create one hole in the crystal structure. Get it my point? And we know that the hole having is a positive charge and has a tendency to attract the electron. Has a tendency to attract that electron. Now you can imagine if very small amount of trivalent impurity, when we add in a pure semiconductor, large number of holes are created in the crystal structure. And as the large number of holes are created, it means that its current electrons accepting capacity, it will be increases. In this way, its current conduction capacity is also increased. And another thing is that due to the thermal energy, room temperature, few covalent bonds are breaking. That process is a normal in both the type of semiconductor, and the few free electrons are generated. Now you can read it. When a semiconductor such as silicon or germanium is doped with a trivalent impurity, for example, indium, boron, gallium, a p-type semiconductor is formed. This is the definition. When germanium, pure semiconductor, is doped with indium, a 3 valence electrons of indium forms 3 covalent bond with a 3 germanium atom. The vacancy that exists with the 4th covalent bond with the 4th germanium atom constitutes a hole. So the black color in this dotted color covalent bond, that's why we say that it's incomplete. We call it a hole. Therefore, the trivalent impurity atom is called acceptor. Why it is called as acceptor? Because trivalent impurity will create the hole in the crystal structure, and the hole having its a tendency to accept that electron. That's why it is called as a acceptor. You can comparatively study in the pentavalent impurity is called as a donor because it donates that electron. Trivalent impurity is called as a acceptor. So that p-type semiconductor is called as an acceptor type semiconductor. And again, the charge of a p-type semiconductor is electrically neutral. But as in the p-type semiconductor, the holes will be created in a more in numbers, so that in a p-type semiconductor, holes are called as a majority charge carriers and electrons are called as a minority charge carriers. So you please have a focus on it. Is it right? And now, before going to proceed further, let me try to compare the thing here. We consider that the semiconductor, which is nothing but the materials having the 4 valence electrons, these materials we call it a semiconductor. It has its a two type. One is intrinsic semiconductor and another one is extrinsic. Is it right? Intrinsic semiconductor, that is nothing but we say that pure form of semiconductor, and extrinsic semiconductor we call it by adding that impurity, means we say that impure semiconductor. Okay, now which types of impurity is added? Either you can add pentavalent impurity, and due to this pentavalent impurity, semiconductor in extrinsic semiconductor is called as n-type semiconductor, and either you can add trivalent impurity, and due to this trivalent impurity, the semiconductor is called as p-type semiconductor. Now when I say that n-type semiconductor and p-type semiconductor, so the first difference is due to the pentavalent impurity, that n-type semiconductor is formed, and due to the trivalent impurity, the p-type semiconductor is formed. Second difference is electrons in n type of semiconductor are majority charge carriers and holes are minority charge carriers. Similarly, in p-type, holes are majority charge carriers and electrons are minority charge carriers. So this is the conclusion of our discussion till now. Is it that clear? Okay. And then in this way, you also try to create the conclusion so that you will get that abstract in one line here. Okay. So after that, we will try to discuss how the electric current can flow through the semiconductor material. So let me try to erase it first. So that's why the title of this discussion is electrical conductivity of a semiconductor. Now we will see that how actually the current it flows through the semiconductor material. So for that, let me consider that one semiconductor piece. Now this is a semiconductor material, and to conduct the current in the semiconductor material, it is necessary to connect this material to that external supply, external battery, external energy source. So let's we try to connect the two end of this semiconductor to that external battery. When it is connected to that external battery, as you know that the battery having its two terminals, one is the positive and another one is a negative. So due to the positive, the end of a semiconductor which is connected to the positive terminal, it acts as a positive potential end. This acts as a positive potential end, and this acts as a negative potential end. And due to this positive potential, the free electrons in the semiconductor materials get attracted towards the positive end. So that we say that the free electrons are always moved from the negative end towards the positive end, because there is a force of attraction between them. Similarly, you can also say that the holes in the semiconductor materials, they move from positive terminal towards the negative terminal, because we say that the holes are the positive charge, so they definitely they will be attracted towards the negative end. So these are the direction. The pink Pink color indicates the direction of a flow of an electron, and the black color indicates that the direction of a flow of holes. So as you know that actually in which direction the electrons are moving, opposite to that direction, we consider that it is the conventional direction of a current. So now you can see in this diagram, the pink color are nothing but the free electrons, and their direction is from negative to positive end, so that the conventional direction of a current is always flow from positive terminal towards the negative terminal. So this is the direction of a current. So we can also say that the conventional direction of a current is in the direction of a movement of a holes. Okay, so in this way, the current can flow through the semiconductor material is there. And now let's have a look on it. Before going to discuss the further point, let me try to repeat the one thing. Let me consider that here N-type semiconductor, and another one is P-type semiconductor. If I consider that one piece of a N-type semiconductor, may I know that what are the majority charge carriers in a N-type and what are the majority charge carriers in a P-type semiconductor? What are the majority charge carriers in a N-type semiconductor? So that electrons are the majority charge carriers in a N-type semiconductor. Similarly, holes are the majority charge carriers in a P-type semiconductor. Get it my point? And thermally generated holes are very less in number in a N-type semiconductor, so that holes, these are, we call it's a free electrons, and this is called as a holes. So the holes in the N-type semiconductor are called minority charge carriers, and in the P-type semiconductor, thermally generated free electrons are called minority charge carriers in the P-type of semiconductor is there. So this is very important thing, the majority and the minority charge carrier is there. Okay, and it is observed that when P-type and the N-type material, when they are combined together, when P-type and N-type material, when they are combined together, a first basic component of electronic field is formed, and that component is known as a p-n junction diode. It means that what is the definition of a p-n junction diode? When P-type semiconductor is combined with a N-type semiconductor, then one continuous crystal structure is formed. So this entire structure is known as a p-n junction, and after that we call it a diode. Now let me discuss here what are the processes are initiated when P and N type are combined together. As you know that in the P region, holes are the majority charge carriers. Is it right? Holes are the majority charge carriers. And in that N region, that electrons are the majority charge carriers. Okay. So I can say that the concentration of electrons in the N region is more, and the concentration of holes in the P regions are more. And due to the concentration difference, the concentration difference का म्हणतोय कारण N region मध्ये फ्री इलेक्ट्रॉन्स आहेत, P region मध्ये होल्स आहेत आणि त्यांचा चार्ज पण वेगळा आहे. Due to the concentration difference, when the P and N type semiconductor, when they are combined together, the electrons from this N region, they always try to move, or they always try to enter into that P region is there. So these electrons in that N region will move into the P region. But when this is called as a bond ring, This is called as the boundary of a p-n junction. So when the free electrons from that n region, they cross the boundary and enter into that p region, what are the things are present in that p region? That is nothing but holes. So when they cross the boundary, definitely they will combine. They will combine with the holes near to the boundary in the p region, so that within a fraction of a second, in the p region, the negative ion layer is formed near to the boundary here. Why negative ion? Because electrons will combine with the holes in that p region, so that the negative ion layer is formed in that p region. And as the n region will loses their free electron, so that the positive ion layer is formed in the n region near the boundary is there. And once this layer is formed, so this layer will create the barrier for the further movement of electrons and holes. म्हणजे एकदा ती लेयर तयार झाली की त्यानंतर ती लेयर will avoid the movement of electrons from n region to the p region and the holes. म्हणजे ते पुन्हा इलेक्ट्रॉनची मूवमेंट जी आहे ती n region कडून p region कडे स्टॉप होते. Because this layer will create the barrier. Barrier means arthala, opposition. Get it my point? So this layer is formed within a very short time, and this layer is present in the p region as well as in the n region near to the boundary. So this layer is called as a depletion layer. What we call it, sir? Depletion layer. And what the depletion layer it consists? Immobile ion, no carriers. Because electrons from n region, it will combine with the holes in that p region, means it will consist of immobile ions. Get it my point? And if you observe this block diagram, in the n region, a positive ion layer is formed, and in the p region, the negative ion layer is formed. So this layer having a certain potential, certain voltage. Get it my point? This layer, due to these two different layer, positive ion layer and the negative ion layer, a certain potential is exists in this layer, and this potential is known as barrier potential. This potential is known as a barrier potential. Why it is called as a barrier potential? Because this potential will not allow the free electrons to cross this junction. Now this point is called as a junction. And this barrier potential exists at the junction, near the junction, so that this potential will not allow the free electrons and the holes to cross the junction. That's why it is called as a barrier potential is there. And experimentally, it is observed that for silicon diode, this barrier potential is approximately equal to 0.7 volt, and for germanium diode, this barrier potential is approximately equal to 0.3 volt is there. That's why I say that it's approximation is there. And now, once this layer is formed, the further movement of holes and electrons will be stopped. And now, at the end, when we just join the two electrodes, one electrode to the p region and another electrode to the n region, then this entire structure is called as p-n junction diode, so that the diode is a two-terminal component. The electrode which is connected to the p region, it acts as a positive terminal of a diode, or you can call it an anode. The electrode which is connected to the n region of a diode, it is acts as a negative terminal of a diode, or you can call as a cathode. Get it my point? And symbolically, we can represent this p-n junction diode with this arrow and this bar. So this arrow indicates that the current can flow in the PN junction diode only in this direction. Means the PN junction diode will conduct the current only in one direction. So this arrow represents the P region, so that this arrow is nothing but the positive terminal and this bar is nothing but the negative terminal. So these are the polarity of this, the PN junction diode is there. So this is the theory behind the PN junction diode is there. Now let me erase these things here and then you can try to read the thing here. When P-type semiconductor is joined to N-type semiconductor such that the crystal structure remain continuous at the boundary, the resulting arrangement is called as a PN junction diode, or we say that it's a semiconductor diode because the semiconductor material is used, or we can call it a crystal diode, and another one name is there, or I say that rectifier diode. म्हणजे किती नाव झाली बघा याला, PN junction diode, कारण P आणि N टाइप ऑफ सेमीकंडक्टर मटेरियल जॉईन केलेले, सेमीकंडक्टर डायोड मटेरियल सेमीकंडक्टर आहे म्हणून, क्रिस्टल डायोड कारण त्यांचं क्रिस्टलाइन स्ट्रक्चर आहे म्हणून, आणि रेक्टिफायर डायोड का तर ते रेक्टिफिकेशन प्रोसेस साठी यूज केले जातात. आपल्याला नंतर ऍप्लिकेशन बघायचं. Okay, so these are the 4 different names of this PN junction diode is there. Now see that P type and the N type. In the P type, whatever the hole you will observe, these hole are nothing but the black in color, and in the N type the pink color circle are nothing but the free electrons are there. It means that now you can observe in that N type the pink color circles are more. Minority carrier इथे दाखवलेले नाहीये. Let me clear that minority carriers I have not shown, otherwise the complexity will be increased. Okay, and this black color circle means we say that it's a hole which are majority carriers in the P region, and the negative immobile negative impurity ions which are present in the P regions are there. Then pink color circles are nothing but the electrons are the majority carriers in the N region, and the positive impurity ions are there here, immobile ions are there. Okay, when PN junction is formed, the P region has mobile holes and immobile negatively charged ions, and the N region has mobile electrons and immobile positively charged ions are there. Okay, so the whole arrangement is electrically neutral. P type and N type both semiconductors are electrically neutral. So minority charge carriers we have not shown in this diagram here. Now see that what happened when the P and N type semiconductors are combined together, then the few processes are initiated. One, that electrons from that N region and the holes from that P regions, they are combined together near the boundary. So in the P region, the negative ion layer is formed. In the N region, the positive ion layer is formed. And this layer near to the boundary is called as a depletion region. And this layer, it consists of a certain potential that is called as a barrier potential. Now you can read it. After the PN junction diode is formed, the holes from the P region diffuses into the N region due to difference in concentration. The free electrons from N region diffuses into the P region due to the same reason. Okay, the holes and free electrons combine near the junction. Each recombination eliminates that electrons and holes. Is it right? So that uncompensated negative ion, immobile ion in the P region do not allow any more free electrons to diffuse the N region. Means once this layer is formed, the further movement of electrons and holes is stopped. Is it right? So the positive donor ion in the N region and the negative acceptor ion in the P regions are left uncompensated. The region containing the uncompensated acceptor and the donor ion is called as a depletion region, or you can say that it is also called as a space charge region. Both names are there for the depletion region. And please remember these things. These words may ask for MCQ type of questions. Is it right? So today we stop here. But one thing you please take in consideration here, the barrier potential for silicon, it is 0.7 volt, and for germanium it is approximately 0.3 volt. This may be asked for MCQ type of question here. Okay, so today we stop here.